Hi, my name is Lucretia Pruitt, and I am here with my very dear friends and also colleagues, Shelly Kramer from V3 and Maya Bisineer from Mimi Tales. We're actually here today to talk about attracting moms and the mom community to your app and to your product, and how that is not just something that you build a relationship with after you have a product and a need for moms, but that it is a 360 operation that will help you with your R&D, your relationship building, and it has to be something that you do on their terms. And the reason I asked my two friends here is because they're really kind of experts for me that are a go-to when someone comes to me at a conference and says, how is it that I get moms to talk about this and like it and try it? And one of the things that I can tell you is Maya, for instance, actually has an app. And Maya, actually, you want to talk about your app for a second?
Yeah, my app is called Mimi Tales, MEMETALES. It's a story-powered learning space for kids.
And it's awesome.
It is awesome. But, Maya's actually gone through the challenges. I met Maya when she was building relationships in the mom community before she had a need for them, but when she was trying to understand where she was going. And I also met Shelly in the same way at conferences that surprisingly did not include a lot of tech people showing up with their stuff. Shelly, and I know you've gone through this a lot because you work... V3, what do you guys do mostly?
I own V3 Integrated Marketing. Well, we're a full-service digital agency. And, as we're having this conversation, I think part of our goals are to toss out some thoughts that you might want to consider when you're launching your app or even as you're developing your app. And probably the biggest thing is, and by the way, the thing that... The credibility, the first credibility that we bring to the table is not only are we tech geeks, we're moms, and we're raising kids, and we know what's important to us and what we think is important for our kids. And so as you're in the process of building your app, our challenge to you is integrate moms into the process. Don't assume that you know what it is that moms are looking for. And I hate to sound arrogant about it, but I'll tell you, my experience at conferences like this is that I'm getting pitched on a regular basis by really awesome men and women who are developing apps that have no idea what it is that don't have children, that don't know what's important to parents, and do your homework.
Yeah. And I have to say, and that's a huge part of why I said the 360 process, because you cannot actually develop an app, expect the users to show up and appreciate you when you have not actually designed for the users. And, the moms community is pretty strong. They have their own conferences, they have their own communities, they have their own feedback sessions. And if you can figure out how to tap into that, they will become your partners in actually creating something that they would use and recommend, not something that you've brought to them and said, this is really great, take a look. So speaking of which, I'm going to go back to Maya again. When you were developing Mimi Tales, how did you first approach building your relationships in the mom community? I mean, I know you are a mom, but how did you start it?
So I think the most important thing is early on, which a realization for me is I might be a mom, I might go to mom blogger conferences, but I am not the one who's building the community, like a passionate community around reading, right? There are other people who are doing it and are doing a great job of it. So essentially, I was in awe of these women who are insanely good at building their communities around what they're passionate about. And mine is technology and kids, but it was a big realization that they know how to do this. Allison McDonald, who's on my board, is a really well-known mom blogger in the early literacy space. So I essentially stalked her, built a relationship with her, and she's one of the people that
taking notes. That's what you need to do. Talk and build relationships.
Yeah, and it was funny because she also happened to be local. She lived in the Seattle area where I lived then, and it was. So did two things. One, you get in touch with people that really have communities, who have a really good for what works and feel for what works and what doesn't. And she was, I think, one of the people who heard my earliest product pitches. And when she said, "This is great," and I see your vision, it's great. It was really pretty awesome because I knew she was going to be a part of the product building process. So that's where my journey started, and now I have several moms on my test flight. So every time we put a new version out that we're testing,
test flight is a big way to make sure
they get it out, and if they're a part of the process, they can take ownership. it's so much easier to get them to talk about you because they're humans and they get passionately involved, and they're gonna help you, and it's been really amazing for me.
And Shelly, I know that a lot of times when you are working integrated marketing, one of the things that people come to you for specifically is you have spent years literally doing what I call showing up. And they say, we'd like to come in and have you use your relationships, which is an entirely different process than we'd like to build our own relationships. What do you usually tell them?
Was your question, they want to use my relationships?
Yes.
It's really interesting, and I think a thing that people miss the boat on is they don't understand the mom community. And here's the thing. First of all, and I've done a lot of presenting on this, and I've done a lot of research on this. Mom bloggers are usually really well educated. They stay home because it's a life choice. They're not slackers. They're not lazy. They're very smart. Many of them were very, very successful in business when they decided they were going to kind of make a decision to raise kids, to spend time at home raising kids. And their blogging is an outlet. And here's the deal, newsflash, they want to make money. They like to make money.
Professionals, you mean?
They are. They're professionals. They are not just good at cleaning house and running after kids. And I think that that's what we see a lot of brands missing the boat on, because you do blogger outreach, and don't you want to try this app, and it'll be great, and you can write about it on your blog, and you can make us a whole bunch of money because you're going to tell all your friends how great they are. But the part of the equation that's missing is what's in it for me. And my advice, I think our collective advice to you, is to respect those women that you want to become brand ambassadors enough to build in some kind of compensation. And by the way, a $20 Starbucks card, not really what they're looking for.
No.
And
definitely not.
And not what they're looking for. And so again, we understand the challenges of app monetization. We understand the challenges of startups. She's launched a startup. She's launched a startup. I've launched a startup. We understand this. We understand what it's like to have zero money. So but there's always money. There's money for product development. You have to have money for marketing, and this is money for marketing. You don't build it and they come. You have to market what it is you have. So you can look at innovative ways like getting to know bloggers, getting to read their blogs, understand the kind of content they write about, and approach them about advertising on their blog, or approach them about actually compensating them in terms of a campaign, some kind of an affiliate. But understand that the major reason that women are spending their time in this space, and the stats on how much time these women spend on their blogs and their communities, is overwhelming. And at the end of the day, they make about $1.50 an hour. So when you can come to the table and respect their professional abilities and also have a compensation plan in place, I can promise you'll get their attention a lot more and probably get much better results.
And we bring up compensation, and compensation gets discussed a lot at mom conferences. But when I go to a tech conference and someone says, Lucretia, you're always at these mom conferences, how do we get to know them? Compensation is a big one. Showing up is a big one. Don't think that sending an email to 10 bloggers that you found online and saying, your readers will love this. They know what their readers love. You don't. Otherwise, they wouldn't have readers. But show up and do your homework. But the thing is, you're going to build a relationship. As Shelly said, you might not have a market for it. I know that doing startup budgeting for me has always been sort of we don't have the money for that marketing. You have to find it. But you can also be creative. I know in the past I have actually worked with people developing the same way any other investor would, and I have been compensated with shares. And I mean, in terms of saying that, I say that from the point of view of, look, if you're going to somebody and saying, invest in us money-wise, these people are investing not only their money, but their talents and their relationships and their communities
that they spent
years building. And you're not going to walk into that without having that. So they will consider alternative creative things. Have you ever worked for anything that is a stake in a company outside of your own?
I have. Go ahead. No, I don't need to talk about it. I have.
No, the one thing that I would say to people is, it's relationship 101, right? I mean, everybody talks about it. Then why would mom bloggers be any different? Why would you try for a shortcut? Why would you try to get work done for free?
Right.
I mean, isn't that common sense to me? Like, why would you put mom bloggers apart and say, like, I have no budget, so let me go to mom bloggers? I think that's
they're going to fall
hardcore.
all over this.
Yeah, I think that's hardcore, like, disrespect for like a set of humans, and that's what I'm totally against. And change the perspective. Don't think cheap. Think win-win.
Well, and
right?
And I hate saying that, but when it comes right down to it, you know that they have something you want because you're coming to them. You wouldn't go to somebody and say, well, you don't know anyone and no one listens to you, but I like it if you try to be an influencer on my product here, whether it's an app or a CPG or anything else that you're dealing with. So why would you walk up to somebody and say, I know that you have relationships, I know that you have influence, I know that people respect your opinion in these areas, and my app address is something that I think is in your target expertise, but you should be doing it for free. Because I hate that phrase, but you get what you pay for.
And be creative, like we worked with other startups where we've traded services. Like they will do some tech-related consulting, we'll do design, and we build great relationships. And I think a part of it is being honest, with yourself and with the people. If you don't have the money, go show up, and then be honest and say, this is what I have to offer. Is there a win-win here? And it's amazing. People who have the time and have a community and see your passion will help you. And they're amazing moms that helped me, who have become my friends. It's just like you do speaking for free because there is something in it for you. So have open conversations, but don't, if you have money and you have a budget, don't try to undercut anybody. It's just unfair because they're so professional. They're some of the best people that I've worked with, and this is even people in the corporate world, because every minute of their time matters.
And you made me think of something. Let's talk backlash, because you say don't treat them cheaply. Have you seen instances where someone has come in, approached it incorrectly, and had, instead of positive user buzz, had a negative reaction? I mean, I see it all the time, so I would rather actually kind of throw it to you guys. Is if you feel comfortable bringing up a particular situation, that's great, but have you seen where someone has approached the equation incorrectly?
I can tell you about something that just happened to me the other night, and some of it is know what you're dealing with and know who you're dealing with, and I think that a lot of times that doesn't happen. But I had some app developers reach out to me, and people it's awesome guys. They have a company in Minneapolis. They do a lot in the mobile space. They do a lot in the gaming space. They reached out, kind of stalked me on Twitter. Wanted to meet up, and I was nice enough to say that I was going to dinner with some friends on Friday night, and they invited them to join us, and they showed up and they joined us, and they spent 2 hours telling us about their apps, about their products, about this game that they were launching at South by. And my colleague and I were kind of diving into, because this is what we do, we dive into strategy and have discussions and pull things apart and make them better. And so we spent about 2 hours talking about their concept, talking about where we thought there were holes in it, what they could do differently. At the end of our 2 hours, and by the way, my billable hourly rate is about $3.50 an hour. I've invited you into my space, and when it was time to pay for dinner, they paid for their $14 pizza, and I paid for my colleagues and my dinner, which is a small. And you know what? By the way, I was going to pay for our dinner anyway for my colleague and I. But seriously, people.
The price of a meal is a very small price to pay.
And by the way, now here I am on a video telling this as a story of what not to do. But was that, and actually what could have happened is I blog about business all the time and about startups and about, best practices. And so, I mean, they don't know, but I could go write a blog post on how not to market your app and use this as an example. And I could call out this company, but and I have 40,000 followers on Twitter. I mean, I'm not the person that you want to do that to. And it just, people, pull your heads out. It's business.
And I'll tell you, one of the things that often surprises me is the belief that someone you're dealing with is an influential enough person to want their opinion and want to work with them, but that you don't respect the fact that taking that into a negative space ends up having that same impact. Someone says, well, what do you think of Bob's startup over there, the response is, no, I'm not interested in working with them.
They're douchey.
The professional term, yes.
It is a professional term.
It is a professional term in our business, and I hate saying that. I mean, we are honestly very fortunate. The reason that these two women have joined me here is because we really believe very much in what Social Media Club does to promote the business of interactions with people. We're not here because they're compensating us in this space. We're here because we want to make sure that when you approach this, you are approaching it from the standpoint of not what can they do for you, but what can you do for each other.
Yeah.
And in the long run, you know, I have to tell you, from a startup point of view, it was very difficult to tell my friends that I was doing a startup because I did not want to be douchey. Which is a word I'm not ever going to be comfortable saying, so I'm glad I have Shelly around.
I'll say it all day long.
You know, coming in that room and say, what are you doing now? And I say, I have a tech startup. You kind of feel like you don't want to be the guy in the room who is the person. And I use guy indiscriminately, sorry, not gender-wise, but, you know, when Maya first told me what she did, it was, I would love to see that because I'd spent 10 minutes talking to her and she had not told me about it the first time. You know, Shelly said she went to dinner with somebody for 2 hours and they talked about their app. They did not say, how can we benefit you, or how does this work into your model, did they?
No. But I think you make a huge point, Lucretia, and the thing about this community and the Social Media Club and all of us in this space is that we really are passionate about technology, about business, about startups, we have conversations with each other and we say, how can I help you? You know, and when we're doing this interview, we're not trying to bash anybody. We're trying to say these are things that happen to us on a regular basis. If watching this video can help you be more successful, help you reach the audience you want to reach, that's why we're taking time out of our lives to do this. We don't get anything from this. And this is not just us. I think the people in this space genuinely approach things with I want to help.
And not only I want to help, but I want to help make it better because I'm also a user.
Right.
I'm also somebody who wants to actually see your product. I want to see if it integrates with what I'm doing. I want to know if it's going to help my moms that are friends and my general community. But on that level, we have to both understand each other.
Right. Well,
I have to know what you do.
Right.
But you have to know what I do.
And when it comes to when it comes to the mom space, you just really need to understand that they are an active, intelligent, professional community. They spend a lot of time on their blogs because they're passionate about their community, what they're doing. They're interested in working with brands. They're interested in working with you. But you need to come to the table with answering the question, what's in it for me?
And honestly, I want to say something for a point that Shelly, with her agencies interact with the mom community on behalf of brands all the time. The brands try to interact on the same level, but when it comes right down to it, you cannot walk in and use someone else's relationships. They can give you introductions just like you would any place else. If you're going to a party and say, this is my friend Bob, if you're going to a social business and you say, this is my friend Bob, whose app might actually work with what you're doing and benefit your community, you're still going to have to build your own relationships. There is no shortcut on that.
Yeah.
And I have to say one of the reasons I love Social Media Club is because I meet people who are interested in the same things I am, but I don't necessarily assume that meeting them means that somehow we built a relationship. We're done. So yeah, since we're going to wrap this up really quickly, what are we looking at in terms of with where you're going with your app and your business? Have you found that there's been a really good return in terms of suggestions for next iterations and the things that people are really looking for?
Oh gosh, yeah. Like I said, we're on test flight. I was at a mom conference recently, and I was a community leader. It was Blistem. I was at the Blistem conference in Nashville, and I was a community leader. It was great. It was my third year at Blistem, and I showed everybody what we have coming out, which is like a game layer over existing children's stories, a way for them to, we essentially want to make gaming learning addictive, and that's what we're set out doing, and it was immensely awesome. Like, they got so passionate about it, and of course, they're on test flight, and we're going to use their help. I also want to give a shout out to Social Media Club. I want to say that I was on the board of Social Media Club Seattle for 2 years, and the presence of Social Media Club in Seattle is huge. And all we did is get people together and educate them. And I know great things came out for everybody. So go out there and see what you can give to the community would be my big thing.
So you want any last
Well, what I want to say is I know that the Social Media Club just made a call for donations, and I don't think it's too late. If you participate, first of all, if you don't participate in your local social media club, you need to. And you need to check out the National Social Media Club, and the resources and the people and the opportunities are amazing. And if you can, whether it's $20 or $50 or whatever, make a donation to help make this club continue, because it's really awesome.
And I'm just going to wrap up. I don't think I actually ever said what I do, so if you want to find me online, my new company is hashtagit.com, but with 2 G's, so hashtagg.it. And I would love to talk to you about other things in terms of what you're doing. If this is something that you're interested in space in, approach one of us. We're happy to do that. But we love Social Media Club, and we really appreciate the opportunity to get to talk to you about this today. And thanks. Is there anything else?
Thank you.
We're good.